We're back on the Sportsmax Zone. The off-track headlines were just as captivating as those on the track, following another weekend of absorbing track and field action. Most of the on-track storylines were generated on the US collegiate circuit. Several Caribbean athletes landing conference titles. Julian Alfred, the St. Lucian, national record 10:81 on her way to the Big 12 100-meter crown in Texas. Jonathan Jones set up Barbados record 44:43 on his way to the men's 400-meter title, while the Jamaican Stacey Ann Williams took the women's event in Texas, where the unheralded Demisha Roswell became the fourth fastest Jamaican over the 100 hurdles, weighing in 12.44 seconds, just ahead of her more fancied compatriot Sha'Carri Nugent, who clocked 12:45. Now the SEC Championships in Mississippi, long jumper Wayne Pinnock and 800-meter runner Navaski Anderson copped titles, while at the Pac-12 meet in Eugene, Oregon, fellow Jamaican Kemba Nelson secured the sprint double with times of 11.05 and 22.74, while track and field fans were engulfed with a plethora of solid Caribbean performances. They were also captured by one Sha'Carri Richarson. In a post on social media, Richardson revealed that she was in a romantic relationship with a Jamaican athlete, saying she was subjected to abuse. Our in-house track and field expert, Leighton Levy, joins us. Leighton, let's start with this issue involving Sha'Carri Richarson. Never want to be out of the news, and in the news again today, this past weekend, in a negative way.
Yeah, drama has always been drama with Sha'Carri Richarson, and this one is no different. As you remember a few weeks ago when I was on the zone, I told you that I had some information regarding her situation. And of course, a lot of it we're still unable to confirm, but she's put it out there now about what some of the things that have been happening in her life that has, let's just say, prevented her from competing so far this season. Of course, you know, we are in mid-May, and of course, the national championships for the USA is next month. So she has a month, if she's back in training, to prepare to take on some of the fastest women in the world at the US trials. And of course, it's not surprising what has come out now, because we've been aware of this for some time.
Yeah, can we focus a little bit more on that, though? Because this story about the relationship she had with a Jamaican, it is an issue that she took you to task for, because you had carried a story about Janice Brown changing coaches or changing her training base. And Sha'Carri was very upset when you put that story out, and when she went on social media and called you all kinds of things, Leighton, unprofessional, yeah. And she wants to know where these journalists are from, and they're prying into people's business.
Yeah, because I don't know why she assumed that I was talking about her, because at the time when I wrote that story, it was just a simple story that Janice Brown was moving from Arkansas to MVP International in Florida. That Sha'Carri trains in Orlando. I mean, all of that now is coming together. That jigsaw puzzle is coming together. But that was never the intention of my story. The MVP International posted on their Facebook page that she was joining the club. And that was the story. As it turns out, she spent like a month there before moving to Tumbleweed. And, and then, the whole drama started to unfold in a very negative way, which, has seen both of them not performing so far this season. In fact, Janice Brown over the last 2 seasons, I think, has run a total of 5 races. Sha'Carri hasn't run any at all so far this season. So, that dysfunctionality, we weren't even aware of that situation when we wrote that story back in last year when she moved from Arkansas to MVP International. And of course, based on the sources that I've been speaking with, that relationship was dysfunctional at best and destructive at worst. There have been, reports, I wouldn't say reports, but word of physical and emotional abuse, which, we've seen, her ex-partner on Snapchat with some, expletive-laden rants that makes no sense to anybody except for the person that she was probably addressing in those rants. But they've gotten progressively worse over the past few months and few weeks, and now Sha'Carri is coming out and putting all of their business out in the public domain. So, further dysfunctionality there, which helps nobody, and actually, in my estimation, robs 2 very talented athletes of an opportunity to establish themselves on the international circuit.
Definitely, Leighton. And, you know, I personally await the day that we have a segment on the Sportsmax Zone and we're talking about Sha'Carri and her performances on the track and not these, you know, off-the-track issues. Is it that these off-the-track issues are affecting her on-the-track performance? And when do you hope or anticipate that Sha'Carri will be actually performing this season?
Well, she said as much. I mean, she said that... you know, she's been healing. We know how she heals. I mean, we saw the results of that at the US trials last year when she was suspended for THC, the derivative of marijuana, which, you know, based on what we're hearing, I think she herself said it, you know, she habitually smokes. So, you know, that could be one of the reasons why she's not competing so far this year. Maybe she has a lot of that THC still in her system. Which then prevents her from competing out of the possibility that she could be banned. So, you know, it's an unfortunate and very sad situation. When she'll be on the track, I don't think anybody knows. She posted something on social media today which suggests that she's back in training. But can she put together something in a month to come to the national championships, the US national championships, about the end of June, which is the same time, I think it's about the same time as the one in Jamaica, and then perform at a level that will allow her to get into the team for the World Championships in Oregon in July, mid-July. So, you know, nobody knows for for certain what's going to happen next in terms of her training or when she gets back on track. You know, that's up in the air like many other things surrounding her.
Right, and you know, recently in the Athletes podcast, and we spoke about this, former American sprinter Justin Gatlin, you know, saying that she can become one of the greatest women sprinters ever. He also said that she can, based on what he's seen of her, she can break Flo Jo's record. Do you get the sense now that all these things are unfolding, you know, Justin Gatlin just saying these positive things, maybe to psychologically help Sha'Carri Richarson and, you know, just bring her back in line?
Yeah, I think he's trying his best he's a mentor. I mean, in our On Point interview last year, he did say that he mentors her and he believes in her strongly. So, you know, maybe he thinks he can get her back on track. And there's a likelihood that it could happen as well. You know, the thing is, for her, I think she has to accept that she needs help. Whether it's, I don't know what form it will take, but she needs to get back to the focus that allowed her to run 10.75 in her first year at LSU and open with 10.72 last year, which had many people buzzing about the possibilities at the Olympics in Tokyo, Japan. You know, she's been waylaid and, you know, she's gone off track in terms of those particular ambitions. And it's going to take a lot of work to get her back focused on track and running what we know she's capable of doing. I think she's a tremendously talented athlete. Whether or not she'll be able to break the world record, you know, it's a possibility. I'm not saying it won't happen. But, you know, for that to happen, she has to get back to training consistently and getting better each year to be able to challenge that record, because that record is not an easy one to break. Whether or not she has the talent to do it is unquestionable. I mean, we've heard reports about her running in training, but she has to be able to bring that to competition. And so far, once she's been able to compete internationally, not just in the U.S., she's not been able to deliver on that promise. So, you know, a lot of work to get her back there. And, of course, you know, get her first, but she has to get back on track and start competing again.
All right, let's move to some of the athletes who are actually on the track now and how well they did over the weekend. Julian Alfred, the St. Lucian 1081 national record, lowering her own national record, had injuries in the past year and a half, which sort of, you know, hamstrung her build up to the Tokyo Olympics and so on. But how impressive was she at the Big 12 on the weekend?
Very impressive, Alance. 1081 in the qualifiers, the preliminary heats on Saturday. She comes back on Sunday and runs at 1080. The wind was just over the allowable limit, 2.4. And it tells you that she is now among the elite of Caribbean sprinters, female sprinters, because the only people who are faster than she now out of the Caribbean are Elaine Thompson-Herah, Shelly-Ann Fraser-Price, Merle Doty, Karen Stewart, and Shericka Jackson. And there's somebody I'm leaving out. But I think
Cuthbert?
No, not Cuthbert. Cuthbert 1082 is a PB. She's 1081. So there are 6 or 7 Jamaicans ahead of her. She's top 10 in
all
terms
time.
of Caribbean women sprinters all time.
Yeah.
And that's rarefied air for her. And it's nice to see her come back from injuries and other, mental health issues, because she has had a difficult time dealing with negative comments on social media about her inability to perform at the NCAA level when she just joined. People forget she's just 20 years old. But again, the fans tend not to understand these things, and it takes time for you to be able to make the transition from the junior ranks to be able to compete successfully at the senior level, which finally she's beginning to do. We see the same thing with Kevona Davis. I'm so happy for her, and I think now this is the platform from which she'll go on to greater things. I was speaking to the president of the St. Lucia Athletic Association over the weekend, and he's thinking very positive things about the Olympics, the Commonwealth Games, but it's one step at a time. NCAAs, and of course whether or not she'll be fresh enough to be able to compete effectively at the even higher level later on this year at the Commonwealth Games and World Championships, and of course in the future perhaps the next Olympic Games. But right now she's showing that she has the talent. And something that we've never doubted. We saw it when she was here in Jamaica competing at the Boys and Girls Championships for St. Catherine High. She was always a talented sprinter. Now she's beginning to put the pieces together, and it's ominous for anybody who thinks that they can probably now take on Julian Alfred and probably get a leg up on her, because she's now the second fastest woman in the world this year.
Yeah, and good to see Kevona Davis finally going sub-11, because we had expected her to do that from before now. Jonathan Jones, the Barbadian, new national record, lowering his own mark. He had broken the Elvis Ford record, which was from in the 1970s, when you were in high school, Leighton. But this young man, who was potent over 800 meters at the Carifta Games with several gold medals there, shortening up now in 400 and looking really, really impressive.
Lance, I don't know how to describe this. Listen, Alberto Wantarino is the only man in history to win the 400 and 800 at the same Olympic Games in 76 in Montreal. Jonathan Jones is perhaps the next best Caribbean athlete at both events. When you look at his record this year, 146.9 indoors, 600, 1:15.12 indoors for 600, which I think is the 7th fastest time ever at that level. And of course, outdoors, 1:45.93, which is a national record for Barbados, and of course, 44.43 on this past weekend. He is supremely talented, and of course, if he continues on this current path, he could be the next best Caribbean 400-meter runner behind Stephen Gardner, who of course is still very young, and so the both of them could actually be, a double, what do you call it? The double-fisted attack from a Caribbean perspective in terms of the 400, because that 800 base that he has is clearly helping him to run really fast. And
Kirani clearly has some shots to fire, because he has gone sub-45 already this year.
Absolutely. So you're looking at a strong Caribbean presence for the World Championships, should Jones not be worn out by what has been so far been a high-quality season at the NCAA level.
Yeah. Sprint hurdling is something that the Caribbean has surfaced in a very, very big way in recent decades. We showed Demisha Roswell and Nugent going very, very fast over the past weekend over 100-meter hurdles. How impressive were they?
Listen, Demisha Roswell, a lot of people don't know about her because she wasn't very good at champs. She represented Veer. She made finals in 2017 in the hurdles that I think is the 100, but she wasn't particularly quick. But she started to come into her own when she went to New Mexico Junior College, where she won the 60-meter hurdles indoors and the 100-meter hurdles outdoors for the Junior College Championships. And of course, then in 2020, she won the 60-meter hurdles. She didn't compete outdoors, I think. Not quite sure if it was injury or anything. But this year, the last 2 years, she's been at Texas Tech, and she's really made a big step forward. Before these championships on the weekend, her PB was 12.78. So to come down to 12.44 now is remarkable. And of course, Akira Nugent running with an injury since indoors, 12.45. I don't think Jamaica has ever had a year when we've had 3 women who've run 12.4s. Because you remember that Brittany Anderson ran 12.44 and could have been faster in Doha last week when she stumbled after the after going over the last hurdle and eventually finished third in a blanket finish with Kendra Harrison and Tube Amunasan. And so you're looking at three youngsters who are under 25 years old, because Demisha is 24, who are running 12.4s, and chances are they could go faster as they get closer to the national championship and, of course, to the world championship later this year. Not to forget that you're Daniel Williams, 12.61, and Megan Tapper, who opened at 12.81. All of the depth that we're seeing among the women in the sprint hurdles in Jamaica and in the Caribbean on a whole is quite impressive.
Yeah, we have just a little time left, but I want to get a quick comment from you on Navaska Anderson, 1:45.89, fastest Jamaican over 800 in almost 30 years. How much should we read into this?
Well, based on what he told me on the weekend, Lance, I think we should probably read something into it, because I think he says he wants to revolutionize the 800 in Jamaica and make, sure that they also can dominate as well as the sprinters. Jamaica has about 3 or 4 youngsters running under 147 so far. He's the fastest since 1996. And he says that he's only just getting started. So, you have to believe, based on what you've seen and his progression. I think he started the season at 149 or somewhere about that. Yeah. So, down to 145.89 now.
Yeah.
Makes him the 14th fastest in the world this year and the fastest Jamaican in the world this year. In fact, only Jonathan Jones from the Caribbean is faster than him over 800 so far this year from the Caribbean.
Yeah, we're going to leave it there, Leighton, but a lot to chew on. We saw a lot of exciting stuff coming from Caribbean athletes over the weekend in the US Collegiate Championships, and we'll be monitoring it closely. Thanks, man.
Yeah, man, take it easy, guys.
Yeah, coming back with more on the Sports Max Zone, your second zone updates with Mara after this.
Thank you for watching SportsMax on YouTube. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe, and click the notification bell to stay informed.